So transformational leadership. So each one of you guys have a bag in front of you. If you can, open up the bag very gently. Be careful. Expressions are priceless. So what is it? It's a plant, right? How does it look?
A little sad.
A little sad, right?
Yeah.
Does it look like it's withering away?
A little bit.
Maybe a slow death. What if I told you that each one of those leaves on that plant was one of your followers? What if it's a follower in your department? What if that tree is your department? What if that's your organization? What if that's something you're leading? Well, how are you going to address it? How are you going to approach it? We know that there's many different leadership approaches, which we've all discussed today. And the one I'm going to be discussing is transformational leadership. So this is one that addresses change and it also transforms people. You can put your plants away now. I know that this is there. So the objectives of my presentation: what is transformational leadership? And also distinguish between transformational and transactional leadership. Touch on pseudo-transformational leadership. My emphasis is going to be on the Kusos and Posner model. So the practices of exemplary leadership, characteristics of admired leaders, their laws of leadership, the leadership practices inventory, the LPI, and then touch on my teachable point of view here. So what is transformational leadership? So it has been the focus of research since the 1980s. It is defined as a process that changes and transforms people. So it is often described as elevating, uplifting, inspiring, and there's an emphasis on emotions, ethics, values, and standards. The leader precipitates change, but the leader and the follower are bound together in that transformational process. Transformational leaders are highly trusted, they're intellectually stimulating, they're oriented towards developing their followers to accomplish more and to reach their true potential. And so the result of transformational leadership is a relationship of mutual stimulation and elevation. It converts the followers into leaders and leaders into moral agents. Classic example, which Sherry touched on, was Gandhi, who elevated the hopes and the demands of millions of his people, and in the process he was changed himself. And I also put here that employees do have a preference for transformational leadership behaviors that encourage creativity, build trust, recognize accomplishments, and inspire a collective vision. Distinguishing transformational and transactional leadership. So James Burns distinguished between the two. Transactional occurs when a person takes the initiative in making contact with others for the purpose of exchange of valued things. So this can be psychological, it can be economic, it could also be political. Leadership act does not bind the leader and the follower together. Transformational, on the other hand, is when one or more persons engage with others in such a way that leaders and followers raise one another to higher levels of motivation and morality. So their purposes become fused together. And you can see from the chart, here are just some attributes that I found. And also the transformational and transactional, you can see the distinctions between it. So transformational focuses on the vision and the values. Transactional is production and results. And then you can see the values for transformational is unity and cooperation, coordination and efficiency for transactional. I just thought that was a great chart. Pseudo-transformational leadership. So transforming in a negative way. To address this, Bernard Bass coined a term in 1998. It is considered personalized leadership, so it's to focus on the leader's interests, not the interests of others. So it's very self-serving. Leaders are unwilling to encourage independent thoughts in followers. And it's threatening to the welfare of followers. It ignores the common good. You can see from this chart, I put some pseudo-transformational leaders like Hitler, Stalin, transformational ones as well, which is Gandhi, Charles de Gaulle, and these are some of the distinguishing characteristics as well. So pseudo-transformational are very manipulative, unites through fear and compliance, dominating, power-oriented. Transformational is self-sacrificing, They respect the differences in others as well. And now we're going to go into the Kuzos and Posner model.
It's clear that a better world starts with better leaders. But what if leadership is not a gift from birth, not something you were born with? What if leadership is a gift that can be given to those around us, to our organizations, and to the world? The Leadership Challenge is a global campaign to liberate the leader in everyone. We believe that our teams, our organizations, and our world gets better when ordinary people enable those around them to make extraordinary things happen. That's why Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner have gathered evidence on exactly what great leaders actually do. And we've distilled that evidence into 5 clearly defined practices that anyone can follow to get breakthrough results and make an enormous contribution in any company, campus, or organization around the world. Great leaders model the way, inspire a shared vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. Developing extraordinary leaders begins by identifying where you and your team members are in your personal leadership journeys. The Leadership Practices Inventory, LPI, will enable you to measure your leadership competencies and act on those discoveries. You'll gain a deep insight into how you see yourself, how others view you, and what you can do to improve your effectiveness. Over 3 million people have used the LPI as their first step. We're all looking for evidence and clarity, and that is especially important when you are taking a journey toward leadership. Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner built the Leadership Challenge not on a hunch or a personal vision, but on exhaustive research. Today, our model is proven to liberate the leader within. Are you ready to achieve the extraordinary? It's clear.
Alright, so the history of the model and the Leadership Challenge. So Kuzos and Posner met in Santa Clara University, 1981. 1983, the 5 practices of exemplary leadership model emerged from personal best leadership experience case studies. The LPI was devised in April of 1987, and then you can see that the many editions that they have released of the Leadership Challenge. And the 5 practices have stood the test of time just because it's an evidence-based model. There's been thousands of studies on it, and it's still relevant today as it was over 30 years ago. So the Kuzos and Posner transformational model. So they went out and they explored the question, what do leaders do while operating at their personal best? They analyzed thousands of research studies and experiences, and they found when leaders are performing at their personal best, they engage in 5 practices. Each leader is unique, but there are shared patterns to exemplary leadership practices, and they can be taught and they can be learned. So the practices transform values into actions, visions into realities, obstacles into innovations, separateness into solidarity, and risks into rewards. And the evidence is clear. It does make a profound difference in commitment, levels of engagement, satisfaction of those they lead, and performance. And again, to date, there are over 5 million collected surveys and over 800 research papers written to validate the model. And as you can see, there are 5 main practices, 10 commitments, and 30 behaviors. And you can see on those cards that I got for you guys, on the front has all of them listed, and then the commitments are on the back as well. So there's 2 commitments for every practice. So Kuzos and Posner realized the practices only paint part of the picture. Leaders can't do it alone, right? So they investigated the expectations that constituents have of their leaders. Thousands of executives were surveyed on open-ended question, what values, personal traits, or characteristics do you look for and admire in a leader? So through analysis, they devised a list of 20 characteristics, and the survey was created called the Characteristics of Admired Leaders. So the survey has been administered with over 75,000 people around the globe, and respondents basically select 7 different qualities that they most look for and admire in a leader, someone whose discretion that they would just willingly follow. The context of leadership has changed a lot, but what individuals look for and they admire in a leader has not changed at all. And this is some of the characteristics that they admire leaders. So over time, there's 4 characteristics that have received 60% of the votes and ranked at the top across all countries. So honest, forward-looking, inspiring, and competent. And you can see how it's evolved and remained constant since 1987. So Kuznets proposed laws of leadership. So when investigating those admired leadership qualities, they discovered more than anything that people want to follow leaders who are credible. Credibility is the foundation of leadership. Loyalty, energy, commitment, and productivity of constituents depend on it. So their first law of leadership, if you don't believe in the messenger, you won't believe the message. The second law, do what you say you will do. And that's the abbreviation for it, but which is composed of 2 elements, say and do. So to be credible in action, leaders must be clear about their beliefs, know what they stand for. Do, you must put what they say into practice and act on their beliefs. And you look at your cards, practice number 1 is model the way. So if you want to gain commitment and achieve highest standards, you must model the behavior that you expect from others. And as you can see, here are the 2 commitments: clarify values by finding your voice and affirming shared ideals. And again, if you can't believe in the messenger, you don't know what the messenger believes. You can't be the messenger until you're clear about what you believe. So these are some actions you can do. You can look in the mirror, gain self-awareness. You can have someone provide the mirror, do the LPI 360-degree feedback. You can seek consensus around shared values, make a significant positive difference in work attitudes and performance. The second one is set the example by aligning actions with shared values. So exemplary leaders are mindful of the signals they send and how they send them. Actions you can take. We can do a personal audit of your actions. Power in the leader's example. Seek feedback again, the LPI. Ask purposeful questions. Stimulate people to think about values. Teaching opportunities, and think about the quest in question. So basically you're sending them on a mental journey in search of answers. Practice 2, inspire a shared vision. The vision is the force that invents the future. Leaders cannot command commitment, they can only inspire it. So we can envision the future by imagining exciting, ennobling possibilities. Here we go, with the end in mind, right? So you begin with the end in mind by knowing what you dream about accomplishing. And then figure out how to make it happen. So what can you do? Determine that's something you want to do. Are you in the job to do something or for something to do? Write a vision statement, which we've all done, so we're clarifying what's important to us. Find a common purpose. Listen to your constituents about their aspirations and what's important in their future. We can enlist others in a common mission by appealing to shared aspirations. So no matter how grand the dream of an individual or visionary, if others don't see in the possibility of realizing their own hopes and desires, they won't follow. So get to know the constituents, be positive and energetic and enthusiastic. Words have impact on people's brains. Bring the vision to life. You can animate it, help others see how their own interests are aligned with the vision. Practice 3, challenge the process. So the work of leaders is change, and all change requires that leaders actively seek ways to make things better, to grow, innovate, and improve. We can search for opportunities by seizing the initiative and looking outward for innovative ways to improve. So exemplary leadership requires outsight, not just insight. That's where the future is. So what can we do? We can treat every job as an exciting adventure, as if it were your first day of work. Send people shopping for ideas, make it part of the work culture. Also, we can experiment and take risks by constantly generating small wins and learning from experience. Life is the leader's laboratory, and exemplary leaders use it to conduct as many experiments as possible. I think that's a good quote. So you can progress step by step, break down those big problems into small doable actions, and then that creates like a psychological win. Break mindsets, so question routines. Look at what's going on from various perspectives. Conduct those pre- and post-mortems. So you want to discover those hidden flaws, those minefields, and learn from mistakes and failures. Practice 4. Enable others to act. So grand dreams don't become significant realities through actions of a single person. It requires a team effort, solid trust, and strong relationships. So you can foster that collaboration. Now this is a good quote. To be successful, teams must adopt a www.com, so that's we will win mindset, not an IMM.com, I, me, myself mindset. Show and build trust. Say we, ask questions, use that empathetic listening. We is a magic word. Get people interacting. Another thing you do is strengthen others by increasing self-determination and developing confidence. So when a leader makes people feel strong and capable, they're willing to exceed their own expectations. You can create a learning climate, foster that self-confidence. You can organize work to build confidence, provide choices as well. So people aren't acting in ways that are prescribed by the organization. They're not scripted. Practice 5, encourage the heart. If you want to build and maintain the culture of excellence and distinction, then you have to reward, reinforce, and celebrate the exceptional efforts and successes. So recognize those contributions, showing appreciation for individuals' excellence. By recognizing that, leaders stimulate and motivate internal drive within each individual. So you can personalize recognition that sends the message that you actually took the time to notice the achievement. Let people know that you believe in them. That's a very powerful force in propelling performance. Make it a point to say thank you. It also goes a long way in sustaining high performance. Celebrate the values and victories by creating a spirit of community. Promoting a culture of celebration fuels a sense of unity and mission essential for retaining and motivating today's workforce. So make those celebrations part of organizational life. Provide the social support. Be personally involved in celebrating the actions that contribute and sustain the culture. Show you care, because you need to model the way. And here's the LPI. As we discussed, 5 million users, over 100 countries, 800 documented research studies. It's one of the most widely used leadership assessments in the world. It's data-driven. It measures how frequently an individual exercises the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. So it was created to enhance leaders' development through feedback on their current behaviors and their actions. It identifies areas to focus on to cultivate a transformational leadership practice. And this is like a sample bar graph report, basically showing the breakdown of the 5 practices. And that's in the bit of report, and then it's a percentile ranking, and also the 360-degree feedback, so you can get feedback from others around you, your peers, and that's very helpful in developing your leadership skills as well. And in summary, transformational leadership has been the focus of research since the 1980s and is a process that changes and transforms people. Transactional leadership, there's an exchange between the leaders and their followers, and there's no enduring purpose that binds them together. Pseudo-transformational leadership is personalized leadership with a focus on the leader's interests and ignoring the common good. The Kuznets-Posner model, 5 practices of exemplary leadership that can be taught and learned, and 10 commitments of leadership. Individuals look for and admire leaders that are honest, forward-looking, inspiring, and competent. When leaders are at their best, they model the way, they inspire a vision, challenge the process, enable others to act, and encourage the heart. And then the leadership practices inventory measures how frequently an individual exercises the 5 practices of exemplary leadership. And lastly, my TPOV. Leadership is about relationships, credibility, and conviction. And ultimately, it's about what you do. You don't have to look up for leadership. You don't have to look out for leadership. You only have to look inward. You have the potential to lead others to places that they have never been. Be an enzyme for positive change and to make a difference. And those are my references. Any questions?
Wow, take a breath. That was a lot.
I know. I'm trying to get it in really fast as you get your time constraints.
You got it done in about 18. That's pretty good.
Oh my gosh. No question? Okay.
You had a question?
What do you like the most about transformational leadership and the aspect of it that you chose to
I like the Kushner poster model, honestly. When I started just researching it, I honestly like almost read the whole book. I really took to that model. I thought it broke it down really nice, and then the commitments, and then they put tons of actions in there, but you can do yourself. So if you guys flip through this book, you can see, I mean, it's just really nice how they broke it all down. So I really like that model.